Because we live by the coast, we are surrounded by many creatures that we probably are completely unaware of. But lucky for us, we have scientists that will explain exactly what these creepy crawly creatures are. Please welcome Dr. Chuck Blend and Miss Jen McCullough of the Museum of Science and History. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started. You're going to show us some fantastic creatures, and I can't wait.
Yeah, so we were actually able to pull them all out of the museum's collection so that you can see them even if you wouldn't necessarily be able to see them out in their natural habitat. So we'll start with what I think is actually the most important one. And I know we were talking about, whether they're recognizable or not, but this one everyone gets because we eat them. So our oysters, right? And we think they're delicious. We think they're great. But as far as the ecosystem goes, they're really, really, really one of the keystones to keeping our water clean. So oysters are filter feeders. They take in the water, they eat all of that sort of gunk that clouds it up and pollutes it, and really help with our water quality. So they're really a keystone species.
Which is fun to learn about someone who enjoys raw oysters for dinner.
Right?
Absolutely. We didn't bring a bottle of Tabasco sauce or some saltines, but they're still good. Also, a lot of folks out in the television audience might have just heard in the past year that the oyster fishery has been created by the state of Texas now. And now all the states, as far as we know, from Maine to Texas, have oyster fisheries, and we can develop that now in this state, which is wonderful for commercial and for feeding it. If you head down to some restaurants, better chance of getting some tasty oysters. But sometimes after we get heavy rains, they can have bacteria in them. So we have to keep check on these oysters to make sure that they're safe to eat, especially after a lot of fresh water input for these. But they're tasty.
Yeah, they are. Yes, especially with the Tabasco, the horseradish, and the cocktail sauce.
Absolutely.
So our second species, we move from one that anchors itself to the floor, doesn't move around much, is that to one of our most free swimming and to some people scary, but still important species. So this is a tiny version. We didn't bring our big scary one, but this is actually the jaw of a shark. Wow. And you can see all of its little multiple rows of teeth. So sharks just constantly grow new teeth during a lifetime. But the reason we thought they were important is because sharks are what we call an apex predator, meaning they're the top of the food chain. So they're keeping our fish populations healthy by eating the old ones or the sick ones and really keeping that in balance. So we've got a lot of sharks in the area. We know the fishermen love to catch them off the jetties and the piers, but toss them back, let them keep control of our fish populations.
Beautiful. And we just learned a lot about sharks because of Shark Week. So now we know a little bit more.
Exactly.
The best week in August.
Yes, of course.
Predators, they're very important. Sadly, their numbers are in trouble right now because of overfishing, bycatch, things like this. And if you catch them, put them back. Sometimes they make the news for some of the wrong reasons, maybe an occasional shark attack, but actually that's quite rare. And usually the shark has misinterpreted a human for something else. They thought maybe a porpoise, something like this. But sharks have been around for a long time, Clarissa. Devonian and Silurian time. So we're talking about 450 to 360 million years ago. And Jen's holding up probably the most infamous of the sharks, Megalodon.
This is actually a small megalodon tooth, so they can actually get about twice this size for a single tooth.
Wow.
So I love the sharks we have today, but I think we're kind of glad that the megalodon went extinct.
Absolutely. Megalodons were huge, as the name says, mega tooth, megalodon. And they lived about 5 million years ago, and they would dwarf even the largest great white sharks today, Clarissa. They were truly monsters, but it's believed that they were so good at being predators, they basically ate all their food. And it's believed now that because of their size and energy requirements, they sort of starved themselves out of existence.
So our number 3 is also an apex predator, but it's one that we think of as friendlier, we think of as nicer. So what we have here is the skull and the jaw of a dolphin. So our common bottlenose dolphin, And the cool thing is, so in contrast to those, you know, sort of flat, really sharp teeth that the sharks have, dolphins have these little peg-like teeth that help them to grab onto a fish and keep hold of a fish. But they're another apex predator in the area that helps keep those fish populations healthy.
Wow.
And they're just fun to watch.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was so much bone in their nose. It seems like it's squishy.
To really just help them grab hold of those fish and keep hold of those fish with that like snout. They can also use that kind of pointier snout to get into smaller spaces than something like a shark could.
Dolphins, Terciops truncatus, they are mammals. They're in the same group we are. So they have mammary glands, they have hair, a little tucked on the tip of their nose there. And as Jen said, these are top of the line apex predators. And they also have the amazing ability, like another weird or comparatively weird mammal, the bats. These guys can echolocate. So they can use sound and things, and they have a large structure here on the forehead called the melon. And they use it to basically use sound or radar in a way to pick up their prey. And they bounce down through the ocean. They chirp. That might be edited out. And the sound bounces back and is received and interpreted in the melon and the large, comparatively large dolphin brain to find prey items. So it's really cool.
Very interesting. Well, you both taught us a thing or two about the creatures that live in our wonderful seas. I think we all feel a little bit more knowledgeable. I know that I do. Precautions to take, ways to respect our marine life, and things, fun educational things to look out for with their kids when they get bored at the beach. I don't know how that's possible. When it happens, we've got some fun activities we can do for some of the sea life that we learned about. Thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure, and I can't wait to learn more from you next time we visit.
We're happy to help.
Yes.
It's nice to see you all again.
Absolutely. A little turtle bye?
Aw.